Hey guys, Paul here. Been making some birch bark baskets lately, and tonight I want to give you a bird's eye view, a close-up on how to make the birch bark basket from the traditional Native American template here that I use on all my birch bark baskets. So let's get right to it. Alright, we're going to make a nice big basket for you guys here tonight, really well lit. I soaked this piece of birch bark. This is a really nice piece here. You can see it's nice and wet. It's a couple months old, but this will make it a lot more pliable to work with. Now when we're setting up our template, I've mentioned this in a previous video, I want to make it really clear. These middle tongue sections here, we want to make sure that they're running with the grain. So wherever I'm going to cut this, my tongue is going to be like this. And that way, when we bend it, it's going to be going with the grain. If we were to cut our tongues against the grain, when we crease it that way, you can see what's going to happen is that we just split along the grain. And we don't want that to happen. Bad area there where it's ripping. We really want some good quality birch bark in there, because these are going to be the wings on this side. Right around here is going to be the wings that are going to attach inward. Okay, so we need to make sure that that is in good condition. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to cut right about here, which is less than what I wanted to cut, but that's just the way it's going to be, perpendicular to the grain. Right about where that's cut away right there, and that'll give me a really nice, really nice piece of birch bark to work with. Perfect. When you have your template out here, this is going to be the base, this square section in the middle. So however large that is how big the base of your container is going to be. Here, this basket is a very large base, rectangular shape. This one, on the other hand, is a very small base, and the sides are much longer. Great for pencils. But I want to make a similar kind of bowl-shaped base tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of easy on the middle tongue right here. I'm not going to go too deep into this piece of birch bark here. So going from the middle, this is how I like to do it. I start here. I'm going to go to about here on each corner there. Just about like that. And same thing on the other side. Keeping it nice and symmetrical. Alright, then you'll notice on the template we're going to cut up into that middle tongue right here on each side. Don't overdo it, but just make sure you cut away into there, right there. Okay, and same thing on the other side. Alright, then what you want to do is you want to take off, kind of want to flare off these ends here. This helps them not smash into the bottom of the base. Just taking off about less than probably about a 35-degree angle right there. Alright, now let's just see how that's going to work out for us. Be very easy, especially with old birch bark like this. Be very careful. And you can see how that's going to match up really nicely. I like to experiment with the two inside pieces to see which way they best line up in relation to the base and how well the base Like, to me, that seems probably better to put that flap in on the inside. Might just want to even this up a little bit. That other side's a little taller than this side, I'm noticing. So I'm going to take just a little bit off there to kind of match everything up a little bit more proportionally. Now I stitch my birch bark containers with willow branch. And this is fresh willow branch. It's very pliable. And I'm taking off the buds or nubs here with my Mora 106 knife. Excellent wood carving knife. And if you've got old willow branch, you can reconstitute it in water. However, really nothing beats fresh willow branch. Get those all nice and tight. And take your knife or awl, and you want to poke it through the 3 layers of birch bark. Take care not to stab your finger around the back side. Right through all 3 layers. And then take your willow and thread that through all 3 layers. If it doesn't go through, taking care not to bend the willow on a bud section of the branch because it will break in those sections. So we want to bend the willow very carefully anywhere that it's not on a bud, on a section where a bud was growing. And that looks pretty good. Just be very careful with this phase of it. And then what we want to do is just make a half knot. That's all you need to do with this, because the willow is going to dry like a piece of wood. You can take a snub-nosed plier, grab one end, and I just grab my teeth here. And pull that. Just feel the birch bark. It has its own character. It has its own unique character. So, you know, feel the way that the birch bark wants to go. And then trim off any surplus where that willow branch is coming around. In other words, you want to make sure that the willow branch is hitting all 3 of those sides at the same time, and there's not one sticking up. You know, you want it to be really strong in that section with 3 surfaces. Again, I got my knife here, just lining it up visually, very carefully. Notice how I'm carving against the grain here. That way I'm not splitting the birch bark going up this way with my knife. Rather, I'm cutting against the grain. I'm using this like an awl against the grain very, very carefully, so I'm not splitting it and causing a run to go up the grain of the birch bark. Now sometimes you're going to crack your willow when you're threading it through. It's going to break. Just got to be really careful. Just try to pull it through and do not force it. And again, always try to bend this stuff where there's not a bud, because that is the #1 cause for breakage, is where those buds have been growing. And I find that twisting the thinner piece around the fatter piece is better success, gives better success. And then pull it very carefully in a half knot right there. You can see that. Give it a good pull. The willow is really nice. It works up nicely. It has a nice waxy kind of finish to it, so you can kind of give it a good pull. Push that down on the edge. Another thing I like to do is finish off the sides a little bit. Not too much, but just aesthetically, and also so they won't catch on things and then rip. So you don't have to really overdo it, but just kind of very gently finish off the sides there. So there's no sharp angles or corners that can get snagged. Hey you guys, I hope this tutorial has helped you with these close-up views. It was a lot of fun to make it. Give my video a thumbs up, share with your friends. It's great to have you on board as a subscriber to my channel. Post your comments below. And we'll see you guys real soon.